What is happening, y'all? Jay here, and welcome back for another Elden Ring DLC video. And today we are ranking the top 10 Ashes of War, and I'm also gonna tell you where to find them. So let's start with the ranking, and coming up at number 10 we have Wind Stance. Now the Wind Stance allows you to string together quick slash attacks while looking super flashy and elegant. But not only that, if you happen to use a strong attack, you will jump strike your enemy. So what you can do is use both the quick slash followed by a jump attack, and this combo deals a ton of damage. Now the reason why this Ash of War is so low in my ranking is that you can only apply it to light greatswords, and that too just one of them, and that's the Milady. Cause the other two light swords, yeah, they have non-changeable Ash of Wars. So why FromSoft? Why would you make an awesome Ash of War and make it so that you can apply it to only one weapon out of, I don't know, like 100? Doesn't make sense. Now, to find this Ash of War, we need to make our way to the castle front site of Grace and move north to Castle Ensis checkpoint, and from there we head over to the Castle Lord's Chamber, which is actually just before the boss fight with Relana. And now turn around and you see this beautiful table, break it, and jump over, and that tower you see there, yeah, that's where you'll find the Wind Stance. Up next at number 9, we have the Raging Beast, and you can equip this with your weapon type, the Beast Claws. And the Beast Claws, yeah, this is one of the strongest weapon types, and for that, this Ash of War is a must-have. The Raging Beast allows the Tarnish to leap up in the air and lunge towards the enemy, and you can even chain it into a second attack when using a strong attack. Now, what I really love about this Ash of War is that you can close the distance on your enemy almost instantaneously, and before you can even react, you can get a 4, maybe 5 hits, and that is super fun to use. You can keep spamming the shit out of it, jumping all around the enemy, and you will barely get interrupted. So, to get this Ash of War, you need to make your way to the Morth Ruins site of Grace and head southeast to where the ruins are, and then you basically have to go under the ruins and parkour your way to the Bony village, and then just cross the bridge and get to this weirdly named site of Grace, bridge leading to the village site of Grace. And from here you simply need to follow the road here and take right where the wolves are to find this glowing scarab, hit it, and that's where you'll find the Raging Beast. Coming up at number 8, we have an Ash of War which I didn't like initially. It's alright until I paired it with a weapon that does bleed damage, and oh my god. And you can use this Ash of War with a great sword, a colossal sword, a heavy thrusting sword, and even a curved sword. So yeah, in that sense, it's an all-rounder. You can pair it with almost any weapon you want. And basically what it does is lets you do this really cool gravity spin attack, which has a really cool animation, and you can do it twice over. It does remind me a lot of the Radan from the base game, but yeah, it's not just show, it does considerable damage as well. So yeah, if you're planning to make a build around this, I would advise use it with a greatsword, cause it has heavy affinity. What's really cool is that this Ash of War is immune to most attacks, so you will rarely get knocked off while pulling off an animation. And if you pair it with a bleed weapon and the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia Talisman, that's a mouthful, which increases attack power with successful hits, You are looking at an Ash of War that'll take chunks of health from bosses, and since it is used with greatswords, it also increases the chances of getting a stagger. This Ash of War should be really high up in the ranking, but the problem is the Ashes of War above this are really that good. Now, as far as the location of this Ash of War is concerned, you can get this by defeating the optional boss Commander Gaius, and I have a video both on how to find the boss as well as on how to defeat the boss, and I'll link both those videos in the description below. Coming up at number 7, we have the Carian Sovereignty Ash of War. Now this is the same attack that Relana made us all cry with. This Ash of War literally transforms the equipped weapon into a massive magical greatsword, and it can actually deal a lot of damage. Also, in many cases, it can even knock your enemies back. It basically is a charge up attack where it slams the magical sword into the ground followed by a 360-degree sweep attack. So yeah, it's not only great against one single foe, but also is great against hordes of enemies, and you can clear them all out in just one sweep, and this can be paired with any weapon. So yeah, it really is a complete all-rounder, and it has a really cool animation which reminds me a lot of the OG Moonlight Sword. Now, to find this Ash of War, you need to make your way to the Cathedral Manus Meter, and this is the same place where you do the Ymir and Yoan's quest line. And the only reason I brought this up is so that I can tell you to watch my video on this quest. But on a serious note, it is the best quest line in the game, and I would highly recommend that you do it. Anyways, to get to this place for the Ash of War, we start at the Morth Ruins Site of Grace and move southeast to reach the ruins, where you parkour your way through the ruins to reach the Boni village. From there, just cross the bridge and follow the road to reach the Cathedral of the Manus Meter. Now, from this grey site, just follow along. At number 6, we have the Savage Lion Claw. The Lion Claws were already one of the best Ash of War in the base game. This one just takes it to the next level, because now it has a follow-up attack as well. Basically, you have 2 Lion Claws attack and a somersault attack, so 3 strikes in all. The most overpowered aspect about this Ash of War is that when you pair it with a heavy sword, the stagger potential is immense. You can stagger any enemy at will while being relatively safe. I mean, you can spam this Ash of War so much that you can become the mayor of Spamville. Now, to find this Ash of War, yeah, it's really simple. We need to start at the 3-path cross site of grace and head north to then turn left and reach here, where we're gonna find the Savage Lion Claw. Number 5, Palm Blast. Now, I'm sure most of you wouldn't have heard about this Ash of War, but if anybody has seen the One Punch Man, yeah, it's a guy who uses just one punch to destroy his enemy. This right here, yeah, this is it. The amount of damage this attack can pull off is frankly off the charts. It can basically one or two shot most enemies in the game. But what makes this even more powerful is that the animation that you go into before the attack, you are completely immune from any poise break. And if that wasn't enough, it is not a short melee range attack. It can target enemies even at medium range. This skill has literally no weaknesses. Well, there is one. It can only be used on hand-to-hand weapons. Now, to get this Ash of War, you need to do the Dryleaf Dane quest line, and I have made a video on how to complete this quest, and I'll link that in the description below. You can actually get this Ash of War quite early on in the quest along with the Dryleaf weapon arts, and I feel this Ash of War is a must try just to see enemies' health simply vanish after a single punch. Next up on our list of Ash of War at number 4, Poison Flower blooms twice. And this is what it looks like. Basically a jump and a whoosh. So what this Ash of War does is something quite incredible. It not only has this kick attack where you swoop in and apply Rot status effect, but the weapon that you put it on acquires Rot affinity. So any weapon you put this Ash of War on also applies Rot to the enemy with your every hit. So how you want to use this Ash of War is that you keep hitting the enemy with your weapon which has Rot affinity, and after a considerable build up, you can use the kick attack to get a huge burst of damage. Something similar to bleed, where you keep hitting and boom, massive chunk of health taken away to bleed. So yeah, this works similarly. I mean, I absolutely love this Ash of War. It has poison affinity, it can do burst damage, it can even stagger, and yeah, it's incredibly fast as well, so you cannot get knocked out of your animation. Okay, now to get this Ash of War, we start our journey at the Moth Ruins Site of Grace and move in the northwest direction, where there is a pathway under this which takes you to this swamp area. From here, take a left and go underneath this entire section to come out on the other side. And from here, we need to move in the southwest direction to unlock the map here, and then cross the river to get to the Temple Town ruins. Okay, so from this Site of Grace, you wanna head north along the water stream to finally reach here. So just follow me. Moving into the top 3, taking the bronze medal, we have the Dryleaf Whirlwind. It's time to unleash your inner Jackie Chan by jumping in the air and unleashing a barrage of spinning kicks and finishing it up with a landing strike which can stagger. And if that's not all, it can imbue kicking attacks with energy, increasing their range. This doesn't hit quite as hard as the Palm Blast, but it's much more quicker to execute, uses a tiny fraction of FP and will trigger bleed very quickly. All in all, I would say this is the best Ash of War for hand-to-hand combat, and this is too fun to use. The thing that I love about this Ash of War is how quick the attacks hit, and you can chain together your light melee attacks so quickly with the Ash of War, allowing you to do devastating amounts of damage in quick succession. And if all of that wasn't OP enough, even the Ash of War can be spammed in quick succession and the enemies will be in a continuous state of mini stagger. Now, when you first get the Dryleaf arts, you get the Palm Blast as the default Ash of War, but I'll be showing you how to get the Dryleaf Whirlwind. So, to get this talisman, we start at the Specimen Storehouse, to then move forward and drop down to find the next grey site. storehouse first floor. And from here, we need to make our way to the west rampart, so follow my path. Okay, so now that we have made it here, we need to take the door to the right and cross this bridge. Now, from here, carry on straight to then take a right. Go up the stairs to find another elevator, which is gonna drop us off at the next site of grace. Okay, so from here, just follow my path. It is mostly a linear run until we hit the big gate. From the big gate, take a left to then drop down, and here we are looking for a small hole in the ground. Take that and go straight. After you cross the archway, take right and right again to then drop down below. Keep heading straight until you reach a dead end. Take a left from there and then simply follow the stream of water, and that'll take you to the next site of grace, Rao Ancient Ruins East. And while you're here, don't forget to pick up some Erdtree fragments. From this site of grace, this Ash of War is just a stone throw away, so follow me. Losing out on the top spot, we have the Rolling Sparks, and I'm gonna say something very controversial. I feel the Rolling Sparks is better after the so-called nerf. Now, before you all go, hear me out. You see, what we had earlier was basically a bug. There was no fun playing it. Oh, I missed 4 attacks and then I get a big damage attack, and then miss 4 more attacks and then you one-shot the boss. In my book, that would have never made it to my top 10 Ash of War. It was just a bug, and it's unfair to rate it against the rest. And in some aspects, it's just straight up better. You can basically use a regular sword, and when you see the opportunity, you can use the Rolling Sparks attack to do further damage or even trigger a stagger. Or how about you use 2 Ash of Wars at once? Use the Dryleaf Whirlwind and then switch your weapon to use the Rolling Sparks. This, I tell you, is super fun. And this Ash of War, yeah, it's stupid spammable, and you still get enough time to dodge roll while doing it, and you can do some crazy builds with it. Even after the quote-unquote nerf, in my opinion, what they only did is remove the bug. The damage and everything else, yeah, it's still the same. And then there was one, an Ash of War that'll carry you through the game like no other. The Flame Skewer. This Ash of War will make you feel like Elden Ring DLC has an easy mode. That's how good it is. The Flame Skewer can be applied to any medium or large weapon that has a thrust attack. As the description lays out, this Ash of War sees the Tarnished set their weapon ablaze and then lunge at an enemy. skewering them and then throwing them off the blade. And that's not all. You can follow that up with a heavy attack, which is a second flame strike. This Ash of War also adds fire affinity, which adds fire damage with your every hit. This weapon in many sense reminds me a lot of the OG weapon, the Bloodhound's Fang. You guys remember that? Where you can lunge forward in an instant and do massive damage while being relatively safe. And in that sense, this one is even better as it adds a second attack and fire affinity. I really don't know what more an Ash of War can have. High DPS? Check. Instant animation? Check. Fire affinity? Check. Follow-up second attack? Check. This is the best Ash of War in the game, and the only way to find it is by doing a part of Queline's quest line. Now, if you want to see the full quest, I'll link that in the description below. But to briefly tell you, you need to first fight Fire Knight Queline at the Belura Tower settlement area, and after defeating him, you need to move to the Church of All Crusade, where you need to fight him again, and upon defeat, you will get the Ash of War, Flame Skewer. Also, I will recommend that you do the full quest, because at the end of it, you will get a really awesome weapon. So that's about it. That was my top 10 Ash of Wars in Elden Ring DLC. Now I want to hear from you. What are your top 3 Ash of Wars? Comment below and let me know. And if you like what you see and you want to see more, a like and a sub would be simply lovely.